Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the SpinSheet Happy Hour, Summer Noon Edition. Hi, Beth. How are you?
Love it. Doing great, Sharp. How's it going?
I'm doing all right. First, before we go anywhere, we always got to do our thank you to Mount Gay Rum. They sponsor the SpinSheet Happy Hour and have done so for a while now. And without them, we can't do this wonderful live show for you. Beth, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about women on the water. We're going to
Very
talk,
cool.
talk with two women who run a program up at the Downtown Sailing Center in Baltimore.
Excellent, excellent. Well, before we bring them on, I want to just remind everybody, stick around after the interview. We have Dominic on from Mount Gay Rum. He is going to make the Mount Gay signature cocktail. It is the XO Old Fashioned, so stick around for that. And then we're going to go through the racing roundup and all that jazz. We'll tell you what regattas are coming up after that too. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the green room and bring on our guests.
Hello, welcome, Hannah and Jordan.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, just barely, right?
Yep.
It's nothing like a noon happy hour.
Yes, excited to be here.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you and happy to have you back. I know you are fans of the program and we are fans of your program. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Women on the water up at the Downtown Sailing Center in Baltimore. So let's get right at it. Tell us what your program is and jump right in. I know you love to share about it. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. And so to get started, we call it Women on the Water. That's the overarching name of the program. And then we run.
Wow.
And
Women
then
on the water, for sure.
I get
the
it.
first and third Mondays of every month from May through September, we're doing Maiden Mondays. So we're out there twice a month. And then we also have occasional scheduled spinnaker and race clinics on Saturday afternoon. So we actually have one coming up this Saturday afternoon. So tomorrow for getting women out and learning some race skills.
Nice. So you've got something for lots of different levels of sailing experience.
Yes.
So tell me how you got started before we jump into like why you broke it up into racing and beginner. Yeah. How did you get started? What was the gap you saw that you wanted to fill?
So I actually just got statistics. In 2019, we had a total of 10 women skippers at the Downtown Sailing Center. Now we have more than doubled that. So the goal was to get more women skippers at our particular organization. But the gap that we saw was that there just wasn't enough women in racing. There wasn't enough women just being involved in sailing in general. So in, I think 2018, we had a one-off Women on the Water that was like planned by the executive director, who's Lynn Handy at the time. And it went really well. Then the next year I was kind of like, hey, we could probably do this as a recurring event. In 2020, it was kind of spoiled by the pandemic, but we tried as best we can. Last year, we made it a every other week event. And this year we got it on the calendar way earlier. And it's still every other week, plus some Saturday clinics. So it's the breadth of the program has really expanded, and it's meant for members as well as non-members, which I know is coming up, to kind of just get involved. And it's a totally volunteer-led. Me and Hannah just volunteer for this program, and it's totally led by women from the top down, from the office to the water.
That's fantastic. So how's the response been?
We've had a really good response. One of the big changes I've noticed from last year to this year is we've almost doubled our numbers of women that come out on Monday nights this year versus last year. We were kind of limited. We were doing it on Wednesday nights and only had access to like 4 or 5 boats. This year we're filling 10 boats on some Monday nights. So that's like 40 people out on the water, just women out there having a good time, learning something along the way. So it's been a big like explosion this year then. And for the most part, whenever I'm talking to any of the women that are coming out for the program, folks are really excited about it and excited to have a space that's safe and encouraging for them to learn more sailing in, or just practice their skills, or just get out on the water with other women, which is really fun.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have a range of abilities. Can you describe the range of sailing experience of these women?
Yeah, so probably at the top are the racers. So we have a Thursday night race program at the Downtown Sailing Center. And the female racers often are there to support. And there's a bunch of female instructors that come out. So those are probably the higher level. And then we have people who have literally never stepped foot on a sailboat before that come out. And we kind of try to pair up skills so that everyone can work on a goal. And at the beginning of every night, I try to get to everyone and say, hey, what's your goal for tonight? Like, what do you want to work on? Like, if someone wants to work on docking, they can hook up with a skipper that is really good at that and just work on those skills in kind of a casual, like really low risk environment.
Yeah, that's cool to hear, because I was just wondering what happens once you all get paired up and get in the boats. Is there, like you said, are some people working on docking, but what if somebody wants to work on, I don't know. I mean, tell me what you do. Do you do dropping an anchor? Do you do jib trimming? Do you do, teaching people to drive? Is there a set, buoy that you all try to get to and get back?
We don't really have a set like curriculum or like set spot to go sailing at, but it's really individualized based on the boat. So like I get on my boat for the night and I usually ask the woman, I'm like, okay, what sailing have you done before? What skill level are you at? Like, what's the next step for you? So for example, I had a group of women who consider themselves beginners just this week. One person totally brand new to sailing, and I was just trying to get her like some helm time, get her like basic understanding of how the boat worked. And then I had two other women with a little bit more experience. One who was really she just needed some confidence in her driving ability. So I got her on the helm. I was like, just focus on driving, try to give like whatever constructive feedback I can. So it really depends on what they want to work on. So we've done docking, I think there was one night that it was just a regular Maiden Monday, but we had a group that was interested in learning spinnaker, and we had enough experience out there. So went out and taught some spinnaker, which is just a fun, like spontaneous, like, yeah, let's put a spinnaker up. Why not?
Yeah, that's awesome. So if someone's interested, like, where do you find your women are coming from? Is it through word of mouth, or you may not even know, but I'm guessing just anecdotally people tell you like, how did you find us? And if other people want to sign up, how would they do that? Is there a fee? I know you said it's members and non-members.
Yes. So I see the website at the bottom, downtownsailing.org/wow. So I hear a lot of people do find it by word of mouth. They're like, oh, I went sailing. It was really awesome. Do you want to join? And they'll like bring coworkers or neighbors. We do get a lot of people from the Baltimore area. It is open to non-members. Of course, we encourage people to sign up as members once they're hooked. But non-members can join for a $30 fee. And all they have to do is sign our liability waiver. And they can get out on the water with an experienced skipper and work on some skills.
So for people who think of Baltimore's Inner Harbor and they're not sailors, they might be surprised. Tell us, what's it like to be sailing on the water in downtown, and how easy is it to get to where you are? How safe is it? All those concerns women might have.
Absolutely. I, first of all, love Baltimore. Jordan and I both live in Baltimore, relatively close to the downtown area. So the Downtown Sailing Center is located at the Baltimore Museum of Industry, which is in the Federal Hill neighborhood. It's very easy access if you're coming from outside the city to just hop off of 95 at the Fort McHenry exit, and then Key Highway takes you right to the Downtown Sailing Center. Got a big old parking lot where sailors can park in the gravel lot and have easy access to our docks, which makes it super awesome. As far as like sailing in Baltimore, I think it's a really fun venue because it really makes you pay attention to what the wind is doing. Since we're in the middle of all these big buildings, and other places we might sail in Maryland is not usually in the center of all these large buildings. We have some pretty persistent wind shifts that once you start to pay attention to, you can kind of figure out. But then also because of the city, we have a really consistent sea breeze in the summertime in the evening. So we almost always have some sort of wind going on, even this time of year, where other parts of the bay may just be still. So I think it's a fun place to sail.
Yes, and as far as cleanliness of the water, I make every effort I can to not touch the water, but I also am aware that there are water keepers or harbor keepers, the Baltimore harbor keepers, do water testing all the time, and I know that the water is clean enough to touch and it won't kill me. So I've also literally been submerged in the harbor, and I'm fine. It's
and live
fine.
to tell about it.
I live to tell about it.
So
Let's not talk about the circumstances of that submersion.
Okay, so moving right along, what what would someone want to know what to bring? Like you talked about getting wet. Like, should I expect to get wet if I came? Do I need a life jacket? What kind of shoes should I wear?
So whenever I take someone sailing for the first time, I say, dress like you're going hiking. So dress for the weather. If it's going to be chilly, bring a jacket. If it's going to be hot, don't wear jeans. I always tell people wear closed-toed shoes. But other than that, we have life jackets to provide. So you don't have to bring your own, but you absolutely can. And what else, Hannah?
Always bring a water bottle filled with water.
Good tip. Sunscreen, hat, all that.
Yeah.
But we sail in primarily J22s and sonars. So the likelihood of getting wet is very unlikely. And some people will bring like a small bag and they're like, can this come in the boat? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Come on. So we have spaces to put items as well.
Yeah, great. So tell me a little bit about, we talked about the gap that you saw in your own sailing club. You know, women skippers were far outnumbered by male. How does this kind of a program help to grow the sport of sailing overall? Like beyond just your group, if someone were to replicate this at their club, like how does this grow the sport of sailing?
So anywhere where we have more women getting on the water, getting closer to like kind of more of that like equal numbers. So right now we're still at sort of like 20 or 30% of our sailors at the Downtown Sailing Center are women versus, like 70% men. So like anywhere we can build up programming where we have more women getting out on the water, encourages other women to get out there, get sailing, feel safe, feel like they have somewhere to learn from, a space for them. And then the other, representation in sailing is also important. Like I personally prefer to, if I know of another woman on board, a boat, I'm more likely to join a boat that I don't know anyone on, and seeing women out there like doing really awesome things like says that like, oh, we can do this sailing thing. I always like to say there's nothing on a boat that even someone who's small like me can't do with just better like mechanical advantage or something like that. Like there's nothing out there that exists that I can't do, which is great.
Yeah, Jordan, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, for sure. I think with any sport, it's very easy to be male dominated. And if we look at the history of sailing, it's definitely been a exclusively male environment. And to make that an inclusive space is very powerful. And we can literally double the amount of people out on the water just by including more women. So if people are like, why is this fleet like not as big as it could be? Look at your population of women. And what's something that's really frustrating to me is that there's a lack of acknowledgement that sailing is a male-centered culture. And I'm personally taking it on myself, and I wrote Tana into this, to make this a really inclusive space for women, especially at my sailing center that I love and I want to see grow. And I think there are lots of women out there that feel exactly like I do. And want to see their club or their sailing community grow. And you can literally double that population just by adding more women. So,
well, you guys are awesome. And what I love about your I don't know, the vibe you give off is inclusivity and welcoming, and it's not anti anything. It's just like more happy people is better. And I love that inclusive, vibe that you all put out.
I
So
think it's sorry, I
go
just
ahead.
want to
Yeah.
add one thing. Like we often, when we talk about this program, often say it's called Women on the Water. We use women as kind of an umbrella term, but we always want to include like non-binary folks are absolutely welcome to come out to this program. Like I don't want to exclude anyone from it. But like that's along with our vibe that we give out. That's something that is very, very important to add, but we just often use the women as an umbrella sort of group because it's our program's name.
Yeah. Yeah, get it. I'm glad you got the opportunity to say that because the inclusivity is important. So wrapping up here with you guys, I know you're both members of the SpinSheet Century Club. And very quickly, can you just each tell us how you're doing on your days of the water? For those that don't know, our Century Club is for people who track their days on the water and get 100 days on the water. There's their burgees. If you qualify, you get a burgee and you come to our fun party. How are you doing this year? It's not easy to get 100.
Hannah's still ahead of me. We're both in the 60s, I know. I think I have 63 days, and we got 8 days doing Annapolis to Baltimore. Or sorry, Annapolis to Bermuda. Annapolis to Bermuda. Sorry, Baltimore in the brain. And that was a great experience. Don't know if I'll do it again, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
68,
I'm on day 68, yeah. And yes, getting the days when we were on our way to Bermuda was cool.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on completing that race. That's an awesome accomplishment and great role models for other women sailors. So Chris is back.
I'm
What's
back.
next?
Thank you guys for joining us. This was really cool. And it's a great program you guys have put together. So thank you very much. And so I'm going to throw you guys into the green room. Stick around. There's always a party in the green room after the show. So don't leave. We'll do that. And what's next? We are going to move on and bring on Dominic from Mount Gay Rum, and we're going to do our signature cocktail. So I'm going to throw Beth into the green room and bring on Dominic. Hey, Dominic, how's it going?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Doing good. I hear you're going to make us the XO Old Fashioned.
Yeah, I think this ties in perfectly with the theme for today. When I think of sailing in Barbados, I think of Mount Gay Rum. Yeah, so I decided to make an old fashioned today. A few reasons I decided to do so. One, we're using XO, which is our triple cask blend. So it's these bourbon, whiskey, and cognac barrels as part of the blend, and it's a 5 to 17-year rum, which means it's more of a sipping rum for me. So if I were to make it in a cocktail, I'm going to do something really simple, like an old fashioned, where we're using sugar and bitters to sort of highlight and bring out those flavors. The other reason I decided to use the old fashioned is because it's probably one of the more incorrectly made cocktails out there. It's simple in the sense that all it needs, again, like I said, is sugar and bitters to really bring out those flavors. But I've seen it made all sorts of various ways, which kind of surprises me with all the resources out there to make cocktails these days. So I'm going to show you the proper way, in my opinion, to make an old fashioned. And then the third reason is because all the ingredients that I'm using are pretty much ingredients that I had around my house. So I'm using sugar in form of a simple syrup, bitters, which I always have a bottle of bitters in my liquor cabinet, and then an orange, which I typically have some sort of citrus kicking around in my kitchen. So I'm going to use that as the garnish. So cocktail, like I said, super simple. We're going to use Mount Gay XO, 2 ounces of that, as I just poured into my glass itself. And I'm actually going to make this cocktail inside my vessel that I'm going to drink out of. You can also use a mixing glass, which you'll see at some fancy cocktail bars, which bartenders will make a stirred cocktail into this and then pour it into the drinking glass. For me, I'm just going to build everything into the glass and stir it. It's a little bit more of a sustainable way of thinking as far as like using less water, less ice. And we plan on being carbon neutral in the next 10 years. So it fits along with our ethos and our values at Mount Gay Rum Distillery. Next, after the rum, again, like I said, a little bit of simple syrup. So this is a chance for you to get really creative. It's early here on the West Coast, so I decided to do just a simple syrup, a 1-to-1 ratio, cane sugar, 1 part cane sugar, 1 part water. Bring that down, bring it to a boil, let it cool off, and then you can introduce it into the cocktail. But this is your opportunity to get creative. You can use a brown sugar, make a really rich and savory cocktail. You can even infuse your sugar with vanilla or cocoa if you want to like bring another level of flavor. But again, keeping that cocktail simple. So I have my sugar in there. I'm gonna add bitters. I like bitters in my cocktail, so I'm gonna go a little heavy, but at least 1 dash. And then I'm gonna take my ice, put that right into the cocktail. I have these sort of big cubes that I bought a mold for. I have it in my freezer. I wouldn't normally use my hands to touch the ice if I was serving it for you, but since it's for myself, I'm gonna touch the ice, and then just give it a stir. So really, what you're trying to do here, and it's always weird to fit myself in the cocktail frame, but what you want to do here is you want to stir to do 2 things. 1, dilute. We're introducing water from the ice into your drink. And 2, what we're doing as well is making it cold, right? Careful not to over dilute it. You don't want it to taste like water. And you'll also know that it will continue to dilute as your warm hand touches that glass and as you continue to make the cocktail. So to finish this off, we're going to garnish it with an orange peel. Going to do that. Get that orange zest and oils into the drink. Give it a little spray, and then just drop that into my glass. And there you have next little Mount Gay old fashioned. Cheers.
That looks delicious. And I know you're on West Coast time. It's a little early, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's what we keep saying. So that's awesome. Thank you very much. Folks, you can go to Mount Gay's website and pick up that recipe. Dominic, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll hopefully you can join us again soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, sorry, I cut him off. All right, Beth.
Nice.
Next up for us, there it is. You know what that means?
Sounds like fun times. Sounds like racing roundup.
It sounds like the racing roundup. All right.
All right.
Let's get set here.
Yeah, the racing section is the biggest section of SpinSheet, the largest section of any of our magazines, and it is sponsored by Mount Gay Rum. So we're going to go through 5 regattas you can read about in our August issue. First up is the Boomerang Race. On July 9th, Eastport Yacht Club hosted its popular Boomerang Race overnighters for 56 competing teams. David and Beth Scheidt on the J105 Smoke and Oakum, which is sail number 250 in this photo, took line honors and won the Boomerang Trophy. Next up is the Screw Pile Race. 42 boatloads of racing sailors headed to Solomon's July 15 to 17 for the Screw Pile Regatta, which was moved back to its hot summertime slot. Even though competitors faced wind delays, they managed to race and have a blast as usual. Find the full scoop in SpinSheet. Third, we have the Mustang Survival Annapolis Bermuda Race. 26 competing boats turned out for the 2022 Mustang Survival Annapolis Bermuda Ocean Race, called A to B, on June 4th. Tropical Storm Alex did delay the 735 nautical mile race, but Eastport Yacht Club pulled off the start. Racers experienced a tough upwind race, but landing in Bermuda was well worth it. Find the analysis and racers reports in SpinSheet. Next up is the Newport Bermuda Race. Of the 188 competing boats in this 635 nautical mile race from Newport, Rhode Island to Bermuda, many Chesapeake competitors had outstanding finishes, including the Navy's Tenacious team and Rick Hansen's J120 No Surrender. You can find race analysis in SpinSheet. And we also have had this recently 3 women's regattas of note that took place. This, I think, is a picture of the J105 Women's Regatta. You can find full reports of these regattas and much more in the August issue. And you'll also find lots of photos from many Chesapeake regattas at spinsheet.com/photos.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Very good. What do we have for upcoming events?
Yes, there's a lot more to come. Starting this weekend, August 6th to 7th, would be the Women's Snipe Nationals at Severn Sailing Association. August 12th, we've got the Race to Oxford with the Tredavon Yacht Club and Chesapeake Yacht Club. August 13th to 14th, we have the Oxford Regatta at Tredavon Yacht Club. On August 20th is the Crab Cup for Chesapeake Region Accessible Boating at Eastport Yacht Club. August 20 to 21 is the Leo Wardrop Cape Charles Cup from Hampton to Cape Charles and back. It's hosted by the Broad Bay Sailing Association on the Southern Bay. And August 27th, we have the new A2C Lighthouse Challenge from Annapolis to Cambridge. It's hosted by EYC and Cambridge Yacht Club. And finally, log canoes. Who doesn't love them? There's lots of log canoes racing happening in the season, and it's not only fun to watch, they're fun to race. Find a full schedule of that at spinsheet.com/calendar.
Awesome. I actually, I did a log canoe race a couple of years ago, and I got to tell you, if you ever get the chance to get on one of those things, it's a blast. And it was light wind, too. It's amazing.
Were you way out on that board? Were you scooching out the board?
They wouldn't let me. I basically bailed the boat, but I still had a great time. Anyway,
great opportunity.
Exactly. Before we go, a big thank you to our sponsor, Mount Gay again. This is our Mount Gay Red Hat photo of the month. This is a photo by
Al Schreibmuller. Awesome shot.
Schreibmuller. He took this one at the EYC Boomerang race. This is Dan Watson's crew on his J30. The boat's called Avita. They got third place in the overnight race. So congratulations to them. And thank you guys. Thanks to our guests, and thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll see you again at the next SpinSheet Happy Hour in another month. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Whoops.